Howdy, race fans. How the heck are you? It's Race Chat Live here on Fan for Racing. Glad to have y'all on board, boy. Oh, boy. We have a big one here tonight. Glad to have y'all listening wherever you may be. What a awesome week of racing. I think there's a little bit of a confusion, maybe some mixed reviews on whether or not this past Sunday's race was entertaining. Um, I've seen boring races before, and I just don't think that I can classify the race this past weekend as boring. We did not have a bunch of cautions. It wasn't a wreck field uh, race, but all in all, we had passing, we had comers and goers, we had a couple of incidents, a couple of people running into each other. Outside of that, I don't know what would make racing any better. We had a strong pass for the win. Of course, Tyler Reddick maybe stinking the show up. 4 wins out of 6 races so far this season. That is for you to judge. I would rather see Tyler Reddick win 4 wins this season already than maybe a Kyle Larson or a William Byron, or heck, I'd probably say just about anybody. Um, but that's going to happen, right? We always see drivers come out swinging, they get on a roll. What are you going to be like at the end of the season? Can you keep the momentum up throughout the season? And, there's those that are waiting on the crash and burn from 2311, Tyler Reddick. And I'm sitting back thinking, this kid's probably got what it takes, and he may be a true threat for the 2026 Cup Championship. Of course, I have friends and companions here that are getting ready to jump on. Of course, introduction to Mr. CJ Sports from 110 Sports Nation, a longtime supporter of this show, and he paid our tab for a long time. So it's awesome awesome to have him a part of this show and kind of keeping his podcast dreams alive. And of course, the Tasmanian Devil of Flaggers, Taz Taylor, who's got a couple of things going on besides this show. All all the love in the world to Taz as he's really coming into his own in this podcast world. Guys, I mean, where do we start? We start with Tyler Reddick, 4 wins out of 6 races, 2311 on a heated tear. Some say it's a conspiracy. Others say that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I'm excited to find out what you guys' opinions are tonight. Start with you, Taz Taylor.
All right, now that I'm unmuted.
Oh, Lord.
And my microphone is working. um, anyway, I think uh, I think the Darlington race was pretty good. I mean, the high horsepower package played a factor. The part of having no rear diffuser, I think, played a factor too. And I know that there was a bunch of talk of tire fall off, which obviously it did happen, but I don't think it happened as bad as it was being hyped out to be. Maybe maybe that's kind of where I think it is.
Right.
I remember, I know in practice they were looking at Eric Jones, one of the practices, or at least the one practice they had. Eric Jones was one of the faster cars, and in a 20-lap run that he had, I think there was like a 5-second difference between his fastest lap and where he in his fastest lap he was recording 20 laps later. So I really think the tire fall off was a was a was a big deal. I think the race, there was passing, guys. There was passing. Holy crap!
There
Freaking
was a lot of passing.
over
There
the
was a lot of
field,
passing.
all over
Right.
the field, and it wasn't a Daytona or Talladega race, for crying out
Right.
loud. But yeah, there it was. I thought the Cup race Sunday was pretty good. Uh, I had I think Friday I had pretty good hopes of RFK as a whole, more so of Buescher and Brad Keselowski, more over Ryan Preece. And I think Ryan Preece had excellent moments at times during Darlington, but I think RFK as a whole organization really showed out. And I know Ryan Preece kind of was like the shadow of the mix, but I'm not going to discredit him any. I think he performed a lot better than what he has been doing. And then Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski had exchanges for the lead, and both have led their laps. And, of course, when the final pit cycle came through, Reddick got the best of it and ran down Buescher and Keselowski and took the win. But I think this race was pretty good. I was really pulling for RFK. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm so biased.
I had a good feeling for them before the race weekend, and they came out swinging for the fences. It was almost like watching Hendrick on a weekly basis. That's how great they performed.
Right.
As an organization this week.
Brad Keselowski, 6 second places since his last win. That's just, man.
But I think they're knocking on the door. I don't think they're a team to sleep on, in all honesty. Right. And I'm not saying, and I say team because any one of the three can win. Right. I mean, we saw Preece win the Clash. Buescher has been contending consistently, top 5s. I don't think anything worse than top 10s, really. And Brad Keselowski, I think I think Darlington was just starting for him to get into those top 5s more often instead of just being a top 10, about 6th to 10th place driver.
All right, Mr. CJ Sports.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Turn your microphone on.
It's on. You hear me?
Testing 1 2.
I got it.
Okay.
I got you.
I said
I'm not hearing Mr. CJ Sports.
I hear him loud and clear.
Can you hear Taz? He's typing. I don't have a bunch of dead silence, so why he's typing? Because he's going to say he ain't hearing me.
Well, I'm not getting any audio on this side. Hold on.
One, I maybe agree with you a little bit, Taz, on maybe the tire fall off wasn't to maybe some of the height, but I feel the tire fall off made enough of a difference that as soon as that first person pit, everybody else was looking at jumping on pit road. And it to be a boring race, there's I don't feel that to hear people say it was a boring race, it blows my mind.
Hear CJ for some reason.
Because of not only the passing, and we seen people come and go, like Chris said, but also the pit strategy. That, to me, had me sucked in to see how everybody's pit strategy, those that came in early, those that tried to split the segment exactly in half, those that tried to set themselves up to have a little bit fresher tires at the end of the stage, just made that whole aspect of the race. I was drawn in. So to hear there was anybody saying this was a boring race is just crazy to me. The whole conspiracy theory, there ain't no conspiracy theory. 2311's just got it figured out right now, and they are just riding this momentum, especially Tyler Reddick. 4 wins, an 8th and a 13th, if I'm correct on that. That's just complete domination. And it's not even so much 2311. It's complete domination by that 45 team. They're just killing it. And I agree with you with the RFK. I agree with both of y'all. I don't know if it's got to do with being on the show weekly and paying a little bit more attention, or maybe it's Chris hyping it up and his favoritism on RFK. But I had Busher and Brad Kozlowski on my team this week for the fantasy league we're in. So I see this momentum going. Like, to me, they are probably the most complete team, even though I'm
That's the
not
one
seeing the
team.
rankings. And 23-11 possibly could still be the number one team, and arguably until somebody does something to prove them otherwise, they should be number one. But I could also see the argument for RFK, especially as a complete team, as these rankings are, to be number one. Like, this is just the most complete organization right now.
No
And
way.
it is so crazy to even say that when we had questions on his health, and have we you got these questions about whether or not they're going to find that third charter to be able to even keep this together, all that going on, and they got to be the most complete team out there.
Oh, you you definitely mentioned that, and I think you made a very valid point of the whole 2311 organization. I think right now it's just Tyler Reddick. Not to take away from the other two, but right now it seems like Tyler Reddick is the guy of the organization.
Taz, he's not just the guy of the organization. He's the guy of the entire NASCAR right now.
And I think the other part of it is like Bubba Wallace is like the bridesmaid. We know he's competitive. We know he's up there, but it's just, I don't know. He's not right at Tyler Reddick's level. And then I chop his freaking guts every goddamn time, every week outside of the Daytona 500. But Riley Herbst, I'm sorry, you suck.
I think we're seeing the beginning and the end of that.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Wow. I hate that I missed your whole monologue there, Mr. CJ Sports. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I threw you some flowers, so you need to make sure you go back and catch it on the replay.
No, man, dadgummit.
He was agreeing with the whole RFK deal. He said he wasn't sure if it was because of a overhype on your end because you love RFK.
Yeah.
But
does that show a lot?
It's just this whole movement. Like I say, it's the whole team, and to have going into the season the questions whether or not we were going to see them turn around this year. Brad Keselowski's injury. Now you got to wonder if there's still going to be a third car, how they're going to get this third charter, and all that, and still they go out week after week, and they are the most complete team in my eyes. Like I told him, I understand if 2311 stays on number one, because until somebody does something to knock really Tyler Reddick off that, he is it. But I can see also the argument, because we do the complete team, where RFK could be the number one team, because to me, they are the most complete, well-rounded team. There's not a weak link. Ryan Preece ain't flashy, ain't all flashy and, up there like Brad right now, and we've seen of Chris Buescher, but he's very consistent. He's keeping that car in a position to be able to win a race if the right circumstances come about, but still consistently top 10, top 15 car, and to have all three of them like that week in and week out is very impressive what we're seeing out of RFK.
And I want to I quickly want to mention this before Chris's take. We pretty much mentioned the highlight of what we've seen so far this year. And I hope this wasn't Chris's stat of the day, but I'm going to highlight this quick. There are 5 drivers so far that have finished every lap on the lead lap. One of those drivers we haven't even highlighted yet. I think maybe we're kind of sleeping on him, but then again, it's the organization as a whole that he's a part of. Chase Elliott, who's finished every race on the lead lap. Tyler Reddick, obviously, as we mentioned. And then all 3 RFK drivers have finished on the lead lap. So, again, outside of Chase Elliott, it's the same story practically on a weekly basis.
Yeah, they are the best all-around 3-teamer that's in the Cup Series right now, and that's a hard one to master. I mean, you think about Trackhouse, you think about Penske, which is another Ford team. That's even bigger. Like you're the best Ford manufacturing team on the block right now. And Blaney's having a fascinating, awesome year. But compared, I mean, and look at you're talking about Brad Keselowski. He won a championship in 2012. That's 14 years removed from the peak of his career. Um, then you have Chris Buescher, who's been around 10 years, a good wily veteran, Texas boy, knows how to get it done, knows how to take care of race cars. And you have Ryan Preece, who we all were really huge on. Preece has come along since Race Chat Live, right? And we all put money in the basket that Preece was a really good race car driver and commended him for taking a partial schedule with Joe Gibbs Racing back a long time ago just to get a good seat instead of any seat, and it paid off. And he's had several years now in the Cup Series where we've seen a flash in the pan here and a flash in the pan there with Priest, but now it just seems like it's all come together, and it's just all come together for all three of them. You have a well-rounded team in 2311. They have a veteran. They have Bubba Wallace. They've got Tyler Reddick, who's on a roll. And then you got Riley Herbst, who I think has done way better this year than he did last year. And there's several drivers that are in their second, third, fourth year that are haven't quite got it figured out yet. Ty Gibbs, perfect example. I think we should see Riley Herbst battling somewhere around where Ty Gibbs should be in the Cup Series. So. We'll see how that reigns, and if that's able to happen. If not, then Riley's probably going to be out of a job. He could be the third guy over at the Legacy Motor Club, who I didn't have this on the list. They got a new buy-in. Darius Rucker is going to be a minority owner of Legacy. So, we've seen pop stars and rock stars buy into race teams before, the most recent being Pitbull. It's pretty exciting to have Darius Rucker on board with the talented Legacy Motor Club. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out throughout the year. Now, it wasn't just the I enjoyed all three races, right? Algar come out, and I think he did his thing right for the Darlington. Who won the Darlington? Who was that? Who won the Xfinity O'Reilly race?
It was Algar.
Okay, Algar. Okay. And then Corey Heim. It's Heim time, baby. Heim time. Wow. Ross Chastain, his head's still turning. Like, he left him on a swivel. Wow. It's Heim time, baby. And just think about that, right? He not only outran Ross Chastain, a Cup Series driver, but he outran his old truck, too. And that has to make him feel like $1 million. Heim could be a very special talent soon in the Cup Series. Anything else? Let's talk about real quick. Buescher, was that a Buescher mistake with Denny Hamlin getting? Was it Denny? No. It was Reddick. Reddick got in the back of Buescher, and it was almost immediately reported that there was no hand out the window. And then it's been speculated, I guess, that maybe Roush Fenway does not give the hand out the window notices. So that's kind of the reason why. But obviously Tyler Reddick hit Chris Buescher pretty hard, y'all. And both cars were able to withstand that. It's really amazing. Like, you would have thought in the old car for sure that kind of bump would have led into, basically a ruined evening. But both cars, one even seemed a little bit faster. I don't know. I'm jumping on the conspiracy wheel. There could be something in the front end of those race cars that need to be bumped up a little bit and make them drive better. I shared to you guys with Denny Hamlin his comments that he got into the back of Eric Jones and the car drove better. Like, he admitted it. And I'm sure Toyota's sitting there shaking their head like, please shut up, Denny Hamlin. Don't tell the secret. But whether it's a secret or not, whether there's some geometry in the fact of maybe pumping the front of the nose maybe creating a little bit more side force, a little bit more down force on the front of the V. I don't know. But when you have a guy who's got 61 wins in the Cup Series, and he's telling you that the car drove better after a front end hit, something is to that, guys. Taz.
Well, I mean, when that happened, you listened to Kevin Harvick on the broadcast. He said that with these next gen cars, it is likely for them to be not feeling 100% or the preferred preference you have in the car. And if you like hit it right, but you don't like say full on break it to where you're out for the race, that little hit could jostle something, and there you go. I don't think it's really much of a secret, obviously, because Kevin Harvick made that comment. So, I mean, it's just the nature of the next gen car. And if you listen to Harvick's interview with Kyle Busch, Busch has even said that these next gen cars are built and made different because you change one thing.
What's the code, baby?
And,
Sorry.
one time this guy can't get a microphone on. The next time he freaking never turns it off.
Yeah.
I got the camera off though.
Jeez Louise. Anyway, yeah, there's something with this next gen car that's just built different and whatever. Because, like I said, Kyle Busch said in his interview with Kevin Harvick that this car is done differently. Like before the next gen, he could sit there and say, I can tweak a track bar, or I can tweak wedge better. Whereas the next gen car, there's not really much of that. He has to try to figure out, okay, I have to adjust problem A. Now I got to, well, if I adjust problem A, I got to adjust problem B, C, and D, because now it just affects everything else. So I don't know what this next gen car is up with, but I guess you do one thing, and maybe Kyle Busch needs to figure out how to smash the car into the wall without getting himself wrecked out of the race. I guess to figure it out. I don't know.
Ouch. In the words of E.T., ouch. Mr. CJ Sports.
You know, when we talked about Reddick earlier and everything he's accomplished, we also overlooked the fact that they had to replace a battery in the race. He also has had to put ice packs down his driver's suit and then suck the hot water out of his driver's suit while he's out there on the track. Like, the season Tyler Reddick is having and the results is just crazy to me. Like, I not been a big Tyler Reddick fan. Nothing against him. I kind of like one race car driver, and I have vowed up to this point that I don't want to see somebody win every single race or a bunch of races. But it's getting to the point you kind of root for this historic run and see where this can go and what obstacles can be overcome in this. It's just, I don't know. But I just want to throw that because we didn't talk about those hurdles they actually had to come over. The hand signal thing, I did catch them talk about that. And, you know, I understand it's a courtesy thing. And of course they hit each other because of it. But also get the fact that why do you want? Yeah, it's like, and the wife cracks up, and I laugh many times when we're watching like reruns of Live PD or On Patrol or these cop shows where the people fleeing from the cops use their turn signal, and she laughs, and I'm like, it's just out of habit. Like I watch many of them use their turn signal, and that the whole hand thing. It's like, why would you let them know what you're doing before you're doing it? Like you're losing that edge that you possibly could have, that few seconds or that half a second, especially this weekend with the tires and you know the different strategies. And did you want to have fresher tires later in the run versus earlier to try to make up like, so why would you want to give any edge you guys are trying to maximize on? So I get it. because it causes issues that like that incident, but I also get why you wouldn't want to give that secret away as well.
Yeah, and there was a reporter. Again, one of those rare times where I forget to save the link or share it to the group here, but I did see a reporter get Chris Buescher's reaction post-race of that incident, and Buescher said it was a racing deal. He wasn't really mad at Reddick per se. So, I mean,
I think you did share that because I swear there was something you said that said something similar to that. I didn't get a click and I was at work, but I think you did send that in our group.
I know Reddick said that if he's mad, he's mad. He doesn't blame him. But I do remember Buescher.
That's what it was.
Yeah, but I do remember Buescher. There was a reporter, like literally at the track after the race. There was a reporter that got Buescher, and Buescher said he wasn't mad. It was a racing deal. He probably would have done the same thing if it was the other way around. So I mean, Reddick can sit here and say if he's mad, he's mad. He's got every right to be. I mean, twice in the same spot, nonetheless, at Darlington, that they've come together, and Buescher's taking the raw end of the freaking stick on that. So maybe next time when they run into each other at that same spot, probably next year, being that it's the day race that these two freaking made up, maybe Buescher will probably say, all right, Reddick, we're not going for 3 times. I'm going to knock you out of here.
Now you got to unmute yourself.
Yeah, you need the microphone to work.
Somebody just shoot me every damn week. All right. Hurricane Hocevar. He's made the show again.
Caution, Hurricane Hocevar. Here I am.
Where do we start? Is he Dale Earnhardt? He definitely showed his inner Dale Earnhardt this weekend, coming from 31st to 4th.
And that was a good-looking car, too.
Oh, my God. Sexiest car around.
I honestly think, in my honest opinion, this is probably, looking back on, like, say, his driver's suit, the whole gimmick paint scheme deal, I think in terms of throwback entirely, this was probably the best throwback image of the whole ordeal Hocevar did since I want to say Jimmy Johnson when he did the half Petty, half Earnhardt throwback. I want to say probably the best one. And Hocevar may have probably topped that, and not by much.
And speaking of Hocevar, I about fell out. I don't know if y'all caught the pre-show, and listened to or saw my comment. But the fact that they could not interview him live because he used a cuss word, I think it was in the qualifying segment, whatever. So they weren't allowed to do a live question. They had to do a tape segment for him. I about fell out. I had never seen that happen, but I'm sure it happens all the time. But I never heard anybody openly admit it that, no, you're not live. You're not allowed to be live.
That's so cable TV. I mean, you got Flow Racing and all these streaming services and Prime. You hear words all the time that you would have never heard on cable TV. And I mean, I guess whatever, it's a family show. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny too, Mr. ZJ Sports, that they couldn't interview him live. He's definitely a story, guys. There's something going on over there at Spire. And maybe it's just they're coming into their own. Furniture Row, I'll use this anytime that I can. They were a team that come in slow. I think their first driver may have been Kenny Wallace or something. Maybe Joe Nemechek. I think it was Kenny Wallace, though. Then Joe got it. And just really kind of just made a slow takeoff. Then they put Reagan Smith in the car. Then they put Kurt Busch in the car. Then they went and got Martin Truex Jr., and we know that by that time, between him and Cole Pern, there was magic, and it happened. And we may just be very well seeing that with 2311. But there's definitely some magic over at Spire as well. They seem to be on that same trajectory. Like 10 years ago, you wouldn't have you would have laughed at Spire being a competitive race team. Now you're every weekend you're looking and where's Hocevar finishing? Where's Suarez? Like Suarez, like we all kind of thought Mi Amigo was probably on his last leg, and he was definitely leaving a Trackhouse team that was a proven winner and going to a team that hadn't quite made it there yet. Oh my gosh! Thank goodness we have 2020 reverse vision, because my gosh, you're looking at what Daniel Suarez has done, and he's running like 12th or 14th in the points. Solid finishes, outrunning all of the Trackhouse drivers at this point in time. Michael McDowell, you're going to get a solid like that. I threw to you guys. 18 years Michael McDowell has been in the sport. He's a veteran, y'all, and does what he's supposed to. He's got good equipment. He's going to finish good. But Carson, we all see why the money was put there for him. Why they've invested their entire organization into Hurricane Hocevar. When you can go from 31st to 4th at Darlington, you just put a show on in front of the whole world. Everybody knows that track is too tough to tame. Well, by God, the Cowboy come in and look at it. I love this hat, y'all. Did you see the Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty hat?
Yep.
I mean, and some guys just wouldn't look good in it, but Carson, he looked good in it. And I'm not gonna sit here and compare this guy to Dale Earnhardt, but I will compare him to a young Kyle Busch, a young up-and-coming driver. We are seeing, as I said before with Corey Heim, flashes in the pan of excellence. And what the clinic that he put on this weekend at Darlington Speedway just proved that kid's got a lot of talent. He just needs fast race cars.
You mentioned worker. I think we need to, instead of calling him Caution Hurricane Hocevar, we need to call him Cowboy Hocevar after that look. Giddy up, he took that track the team and said, "See you later."
He did. The Lone Ranger.
Hell yeah.
Zorro. How about
I want to if y'all don't mind, I want to play a clip of Suarez. I know we weren't highlighting him, but what you mentioned, Chris, of that.
We kind of hit RFK already, so we can definitely squeeze in the Suarez.
All right.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I've been highly critical of this driver. He's had every opportunity one can have in golf, with limited success along the way. Somehow he has persevered, and now it appears Daniel Suarez may have found himself a home. Through 6 races, his average finish is up 5 positions from last year, tied for his best point standing ever after 6 races. All while Suarez's former team Trackhouse Racing struggles, with Daniel in 14th. He currently outranks all 3 Trackhouse drivers. He's had spurts of good moments over his 10-year Cup career. Perhaps Suarez has finally found a team where he can find consistency. I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Did y'all hear that? Or
yeah, it was a little low, but we definitely heard it. Yeah, he's in the right place. He is, and it looks like he's got a team that's surrounded him. Mi Amigo has always been the kind of the odd guy, and this is what happens when you have a guaranteed paycheck that comes with you. A lot of teams just take advantage of, well, I'm going to invest into here because I know this guy's got the money. He's going to be able to fork over the bill. So we got to focus on the teams that need sponsorship, that have to have support. Daniel's been fortunate most of his career to have a guy that's pretty much picked up the tab for his racing career, and he's a tycoon in Mexico. I think Slim, what's his name? Slim. Dadgummit, I can't think of it right now.
Slim
but anyway,
Shady.
No, not Slim Shady. No, not Slim Shady. I'll get the name here in just a second when I pass the baton. But yeah, definitely Suarez. Slim Jim. I think he's in the right place. I think, but he also might be on a clock, right? Because there could be some vacancies here in the next year, especially if they're trying to bring in a Kyle Busch or another driver to kind of highlight the path forward that Spire seems to have laid down. Go ahead, Taz.
Yeah, the
Carlos Slim. Sorry, Carlos Slim is the money behind Daniel
no,
Suarez.
I think honestly, I think if I see it this way, if Spire doesn't take care of Hocevar in the next, say, year or two, Hendrick better grab him for that 48 car.
Hocevar's already signed a 10-year deal with Spire.
Yeah.
Oh
He
yeah,
is signed up for 10
that's right.
years.
I forgot about that.
Decade contract. So in other words, they're gonna have to pay out a whole lot of money. Hendrick's gonna have to pay out a whole lot of money on this kid if he wants him.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I think the only way, I think right now, I say if Suarez keeps performing at a very consistent level that he has been so far for the rest of this year, obviously there's going to be some outliers that'll happen because I mean it's racing. You're not unless you're kind of like Tyler Reddick or RFK as a whole at this point. I feel like if Suarez can perform at a consistent level for the 7 car for Spire, he'll be safe. My question for that organization would be Michael McDowell. And is Spire even willing to go big market shopping for Kyle Busch? That leaves the question of, does Kyle Busch even want to stay in Cup Series after this year? Because we know Brexton's coming through at some point. I know it's going to be quite a few years since Brexton will be getting up to that level. But Kyle Busch has made a hint of he's waiting for, if he doesn't get into a Cup ride, he's waiting for a truck team, nonetheless, to make him an offer so he can race the Truck Series full time. So it's, I think, but I think Spire has a gem in Carson Hocevar. It's just a matter of when is Carson Hocevar going to break out, and I think when he does, this could put Spire truly on the map. And I think and as Chris said, Hendrick's going to have to offer a lot of money if they're going to want to grab him.
Now, didn't Chris just say Michael McDowell's been racing for like 20 years? And about the number?
Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
So, I
18
mean,
years.
so what, I mean, how many years do we expect him to run? I mean, could that be the silent thing said? Like maybe it's time for him to retire? You know, I don't know. I'm not saying he's not putting the performance up, but at some point, 18 years, he's not a young chicken. He's got kids, that there could be a possibility that's where that ride comes. Maybe, Michael McDowell, this is, getting to the end and let's, I'm just throwing it out there, because we're worried about, well, Kyle Busch comes to Spire. How's that going to affect? Maybe he just retires. Maybe, so that's a lot of physicality for somebody in racing. I mean, it takes a toll on your body. We see, some of these people, I think they're leaving a little bit younger of age, and I think the money has a lot to do with it. It's easy to retire now than, as late as, maybe Richard Petty or Senior was racing everything else. I think we're seeing a little bit younger and doing a little bit more part-time than we might have seen at one point in time. And I mean, 18 years, that means he's not young. I mean, I just got to throw that out there. But I agree with you, what you said earlier about Suarez. When I saw that he was out at Trackhouse, I thought that he was just going to get whatever ride, and this was kind of the end of it. Somebody got desperate and needed somebody to fill the car, and that's kind of where Suarez ended. But to see him out there and performing and it being consistent has definitely been a surprise for me this year.
Yeah, McDowell does seem kind of like the oddball out if something happens. And look, Spire can definitely take care of McDowell in other places, even if he's under contract. I think that, the musical chairs is probably going to happen somewhere around September, and we'll have to find out where people go and when certain balls start to drop, with drivers and the teams that they're probably already talking to right now. And I would hate that. Of course, there could be an opening back at Front Row Motorsports or something for McDowell. But if Suarez is having the year that he's having, he's definitely, in his primer age than McDowell. And if you have the chance to bring in a Kyle Busch and possibly put him back in victory lane and kind of give you a 1-2 combo with a young kid and a veteran in the same shop, I think that would be, because I don't know who is not ready to see Kyle Busch revitalize his career. And it's not going to happen RCR. That's already been proven over the last couple of years. They're not moving in the right direction. It's either going to have to be a Hendrick Motorsports, a Penske, or, possibly a Spire that gets the fire lit back up underneath Kyle Busch. So there's definitely going to be, go ahead.
I don't think Hendrick will grab Busch. CJ mentioned that there's this movement of younger drivers and such in the Cup Series in the last few years, and Hendrick, I think, figured that out early. But I think he instead of Hendrick doing it in one heartfelt swoop, he kind of did it at like a slow pace, like when Gordon was gone, in comes Chase Elliott, and then like what was it, a year or two later, Junior was out. Okay, now insert Alex Bowman, and then not much longer later, Casey Kane. Insert William Byron. Jimmy Johnson leaves, and you get Kyle Larson, and then all of a sudden Hendrick became the dominant force of all four. Now I think we're at the point for Hendrick where I would say, depending on the circumstance, you have 2, sometimes 3 out of the 4 competing. I don't know if it's much so of Alex's injuries or state of health kind of catching up to him quicker than expected. That's now kind of setting him back. Maybe setting that whole 48 team back. I don't know if Hendrick would grab Kyle Busch. I think maybe at this point they're probably going to stay on the younger side to try to upswing. The question is who? I mean, there's obviously options out there.
This is the year to sign a veteran, Taz. There's not as many young talents to put in that car right now. I think if Hendrick were to make a move, it would definitely be a younger talent. I mean, an older talent that basically can keep the seat warm for a couple of more years as we look and see how Carson Cavapel.
I see it as if Kyle Busch is going to go somewhere else. It's going to be somewhere else. It could be mid-tier, but I don't see Hendrick grabbing a veteran.
Right. Well, and look, I think Mr. Hendricks definitely picked up the phone and called Tyler Reddick and Ryan Blaney. I would not doubt that. It's just whether or not those guys are a fit over there at the 48 team. Let's talk about.
No.
Get this guy.
No. We're not just going to skip me. I know as much as he won't get that number, as being a Kyle Busch fan, I would love to see the number 5 Kellogg's again. And see the number 5. I think he did a couple. There was a couple other, I can't remember off the top of my head, big sponsors. I would love to see him back at Rick Hendrick. I'd love to see him be relevant once again and get some W's. I don't know if Hendrick would even take him back. I don't know how the split up even was like at that point in time. I don't remember. But also,
it was bad.
I don't. Yeah, so I don't think he's going back there anyway. Honestly, I think Kyle Busch is probably going to go somewhere that he knows he is setting his son's future up somewhere where there's going to be opportunities, if it be in an ARCA series or a truck series, where that organization will be able to provide him those opportunities. I think that's wherever Kyle Busch's decisions are from here, I think it's more he knows he's on the back end of his career. He wants to be able to have the most amazing experience with Braxton in his racing career, and I think that's where his decisions are going to be moving forward.
And that's where Spire fits the mold, because I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years if Braxton were to come through that role. Spire's already at the truck series level. I understand there's a little bit of a gap between trucks and Cup that Spire's kind of missing out on. But honestly, that's okay because if Spire works out a deal, they can make this work. But I think Spire could probably have opened, say, an ARCA car, for instance, just for, say, Brexton or maybe somebody that they're looking into at that point. If they haven't already, they probably will very soon. But yeah, there's, like I said, and Kyle Busch has worked with Spire for the Truck Series for a number of times since joining RCR. So I don't really see a problem with Busch going over to Spire. He's already got a working relationship. Obviously, he's won a number of a few truck races with Spire. So he's already, made good motion with Spire. And if, to Mr. CJ's point, if Busch wants to sign with a team that may benefit not only him, but maybe Brexton too, Spire's going to be a good option.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. The only and this is a silly season. We're not really covering silly season this week, but somehow or another we're here. Here we are. We're discussing. Kurt Busch found his way over to 2311. I'm not going to say that door hasn't closed for Kyle Busch. It's just I'm not sure if you're going to be willing to let go of Bubba Wallace to get him over there. And obviously, they're not going to be a 4-car operation. So I think Corey Heim is the future at 2311. Now, that may be Tyler Reddick may jump ship at the end of the year and go over to Joe Gibbs Racing. I don't know. There's, it's a lot of maybes. There's a lot of free agents coming up at the same time. But I definitely would not be surprised to see Kyle Busch wind up over at 2311. I just don't think there's enough room. So it all feels like it leads to Spire and possibly that 71 car for Kyle Busch. Man, y'all know I love silly season, and I don't waste no time getting into it. It's cool to see that you guys have kind of fallen right in with that as well, because I know a lot of times back in the old day, y'all would be like, Chris, it's only 5 races in the season. You can't start silly season right now. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Kyle Larson's going to go to Hendrick.
with the whole Tyler Reddick thing, I don't think anybody would ever leave the greatest, the biggest icon of sports, period, unless it was just the most miserable, unsuccessful situation. But to have Michael Jordan compliment you every single week that you were there in the performances, like I couldn't imagine anybody, to include Tyler Reddick, walking away from that. So the whole Joe Gibbs Racing thing, you got enough of affiliation, and you're getting the product from there. So I think that's about as close as we're going to see that, unless things just for some reason take a spiral for the worse. But I tell you what, I don't think that there is a driver higher in the clouds right now than Tyler Reddick, especially when you have the biggest icon in sports. You're saying literally the sports world basically praising you every freaking week.
Yeah, I see Reddick getting a boost in his pay and probably at least a 5-year extension to 2311.
Well, he should definitely be the franchise for sure. And he's carrying them to peaks where they've never thought possible, right? Or they're living the vision that they set forth. I think that's more appropriate for a team that's managed and run by the GOAT, Michael Jordan. The only issue that I have is if he goes 0 for 60, how does that pressure? What does that become a pressure cooker? How is that handled?
That's what I said. Unless things spiral horribly out of control.
Right. And that would be crazy to think that after 4 wins that you could backslide that fast. But, these are numbers never before seen by this team. So either they found something that nobody else has and they'll eventually get it, or Tyler Reddick has come into his own and he's going to be a generational talent. As we talked about Denny Hamlin last week, there's guys that have certain careers and you just look back 10 years later and you're like, holy crap, Tyler Reddick's got 12 wins in his career already, y'all. He surpassed like 90% of the Cup drivers. I mean, this guy's he's moving in the right direction. He's having a hell of a year too. Good race or bad race? I guess we can just say good race or bad race because we're kind of pressed on this time slot. Good race or bad race? I say it was a damn good race. What about you, Taz?
Good race to me.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a race that doesn't have a bunch of cautions. I got hammered with this on the other show last year because I would give a poor grade to a race and I would get Jay so upset, Jay Hoosman, because he'd be like, "You don't have to have cautions to have a good race," and you don't, and this proved it right here. But there's also snooze fest like the week before where you're just like, "Oh, is this thing ever going to be over with?" So definitely, we had a good race this week compared to what we've seen at some racetracks. The rules package, y'all happy? You think that there's still some more tweaks to be made? I think that Mark Martin believes so. He wants to take away a bunch of downforce in the race cars and says that he can show you how to do it.
I think we're on the right. I think we're on the right track now. It's just a matter of maybe experimenting it at other tracks.
Yeah.
But obviously, I would say let this package run its course for this year to really see where we are at. Let them try to improve before expanding it to other tracks. I think Phoenix was another high horsepower package race, but I don't think they got away with the rear diffuser though for that one.
Right. They still have the diffuser. This is the first race without the diffuser, and I didn't really hear that much talked about very much throughout the weekend or whatnot. Just before we get to stat of the day, Mr. CJ Sports.
I was there. Oh, I thought we just did good race, bad race. I said, did I not say it? Is that where we're on?
No.
Yes,
It was the rule package.
Rule package.
Yeah.
I agree with Taz. I'm sorry. You got in the diffuser and I forgot what the original question, even backtrack too. Yeah, I agree with Taz. I think we're definitely going in the right direction.
Guys sleeping over here.
I definitely feel we're going in the right direction.
I heard definitely. That snore.
I was really just giving Miss Sharon a chance to go ahead and get the stat of the day graphic up. There we go. Stat of the day. Come on, Taz. Stat of the day. What? Here's that stat of the day. Bop. Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson have 6 top 5 finishes each in the last 8 Martinsville Cup races. But Blaney holds the edge with 2 wins and the better average finish in that span. So you think about the success that Hendrick has at Martinsville, and then there's a guy that just creeps up into there. You wouldn't even think that he would be the best Penske driver at Martinsville, but Ryan Blaney over the last 4 years has really showed that he's made Martinsville his. Any debate on that? Ryan
Blaney's kind of been like the Christopher Bell when it came to the start of the next gen, as of the last couple of years with these flatter ovals and such like that. But I think Blaney as a whole, has started to become a more well-round driver because, I mean, he performed at COTA unexpectedly. I had him written off for Darlington, and he performed the hell out of that. So, I mean, I think Blaney's starting to become a better all-around racer. But I still think that just like every driver has their weaker tracks, I know Blaney's going to struggle some at those tracks, but I just think Blaney's starting to really come better as a well-rounded driver.
Now, Taz, you also had what you thought should have been the stat of the day. Can you share that with us? Stat of the day, number 2. Stat of the day, number 2. Stat of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day, number 2.
Or 3, should we say, because we could throw in TV ratings quick. Reddick is the 3rd driver ever in Cup history to win 4 out of the 6 races. He joins Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt Sr.
That's good company.
And then TV ratings for Darlington are in. FS1 average 2.429 million viewers for Sunday's Goodyear 400 Cup race at Darlington, down 3% from 2.517 million from last year's equivalent track, and down 1% from 2.464 million for last year's equivalent weekend, which was Homestead.
All right. So I'm getting ready.
I'm not surprised on the Homestead, but I'm a little surprised on the equivalent Darlington Day race.
I'm going to give a little tease real quick, Taz, as you finish up on that. Standouts, Shoutouts, and Shoutdowns is coming up pretty soon, and we have changed the game on how we're going to do that. I'm really excited to find out what you guys have conquered up to be your Standouts, Shoutouts, and Shoutdowns. This is something that we started, and then it's kind of evolved into what we want it to be. And so that's why tonight is going to be a little bit different, but we still got a couple more things to get through. One of those I didn't let Mr. CJ Sports comment on the stat of the day or anything like that. Are you good, Mr. CJ?
So did you pretty much just say that Ryan Blaney to Martinsville is like Tyler Reddick to the rest of the entire field this season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's made it his. Yeah.
And in the words of Little John, Bia, Bia!
All right. And with that said, let's bring on Miss Sharon Burton, the Fan for Racing leader here. She's going to tell us a little bit about the other shows that are probably a little less R-rated than this one.
Well, I always say you guys are the GP rated. We're the G rated. Anyway, starting with Hot Topic Sound Off on Mondays at 8:15. That's Jay and I. We talk about each of the series. We review the races from the series over the weekend and then address the hot topics for each series. Then on Tuesday, I finally published Taz's interview as Tasmanian Devil of Flaggers.
There you go.
And so that interview is up now, and I'm real happy about that. I've interviewed Sal, and I've got CJ in the wings, and Chris, you're going to be in the wings too.
Oh, wow. I'll get interviewed?
Yeah, we're going to interview
Oh,
you.
wow.
I'll interview you as an announcer, a track announcer.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Okay,
That's cool.
and
Can't wait for that.
We're going to interview CJ as he's got memorabilia store, so we're going to talk to him about that.
And a long-time show producer.
And a long-time show producer, yes. We'll have to talk to him about that.
He has had many names come through the 110 Nation Network and all. This guy's like, he's been around. He's definitely had some great opportunities to talk to young talents and stuff. So can't wait to hear that and what Mr. CJ Sports is going to talk about.
I used to be on his show occasionally.
Yeah, that's so cool, right? I mean, we all kind of just worked with it. We all worked with each other before we worked with each other, and that's.
That
and
is
don't
so
tell him
cool.
what would have happened if Steve Billmeyer hadn't said something really bad about Dale Earnhardt that day.
April 15th. They'll actually be doing this for 15 years.
Wow. That's close
That's
to
crazy.
us. We started at the end of 2011, and then our first full season was the 2012 season. So we're not quite there. We're right behind you, though.
That's when I started announcing at the Speedway. I was still writing for Rant Sports at the time. All right. So thank you, Miss Sharon.
We got previews coming up between Thursday and Friday. And then on Friday, Taz and I will sit down and do the fantasy report. So I think I might have had the edge this week, Taz.
I haven't looked at points yet, so.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking I might have the edge this week.
That's probably the one thing I haven't looked at is points wise between you and me. However, I have looked at points for our little fantasy league, and I came out on top again, not by much, but I'm slowly catching you, Mama Bear. I'm slowly catching you.
Can somebody please remind me to set my garage? 2 weeks in a row, I forgot to set my garage. It's ridiculous. But I've had a hell of an all-star cast there, though, for the last couple of races. But don't want to use them up early. Thank you, Miss
Okay,
Sharon,
bye,
and
everybody.
we do appreciate you and helping us carry the show on to the next generation and beyond.
My pleasure.
All right, so we're gonna go under the hood. That's up next. Under the hood
See you
controversy
later.
and deep dive discussion. Checks and balances. Did Trackhouse bite off more than they can chew?
Don't mind me of losing my headset. For
Mr. CJ Sports, do you want to start with that?
That's what happens when you try to go under the hood. I've not.
GP for everybody.
I have. I'm
Hold it together.
not impressed at all with Trackhouse. Like it's been rather disappointing. Like I, it's tough as it is to watch Kyle Busch as an organization. It is just as tough to watch Trackhouse. I don't know. I don't get it. It's you just I don't know. I'm not even a Chastain fan, but it doesn't hurt my feelings when he wins. It's kind of one of those things that, but it's tough. And I mean, this weekend he got close, especially in the truck series. But it just, I don't know. The Trackhouse has just got to get something figured out. But I say that, but it's tough because it seems like Tyler, I was going to say 2311, but Tyler Reddick's got everybody covered. So it really don't matter which organization we talk about, maybe than RFK. Everybody else has still got to figure it out. RFK might not have the wins, but he done brought up the stat through all three of the drivers have completed every lap on the lead lap. So I don't know. They need to figure something out.
Wow. All right.
There we go. Now I
Cass.
figured it out. Now I figured out how to go under the hood without losing my entire headset this time around. But
Oh, wow.
anyway, the way I see it with Trackhouse, they're underperforming to where they have been. But I see it as this way: SVG, yes. Last year was kind of him dominating the road courses and stinking up the ovals. I know towards the end of the season, his oval progression was getting there. And so far this year, we're seeing better results than we did last year. And Connor Zilic, I think for him, is kind of like a growing pain situation. Obviously, he's getting adjusted to the competition level, getting used to a different car. I think the next-gen car is a different animal in comparison to what everything else that Zilic has probably drove. And I say that because look at the O'Reilly Xfinity car, ARCA car he ran. Although probably aerodynamically and maybe a couple differences in mechanically wise, the cars probably are kind of the same in a sense. But I think the next gen car is just a completely different animal. So I think for him, not only competition level, the different car, now getting used to a different team. So I think for him, it's just an adjustment period. I think for him, he will get there with time. So I just think maybe the hype level everyone gave him to start, I think it's kind of, I just think that he was well overhyped before we gave him a chance to see where he is to kind of give him a starting ground or starting point. Then we can go from there. But I honestly think this is growing pains on his end. And in terms of Chastain, he should be the leader.
Right.
This is your, I guess you could say, your role model at this point because he's been there. He's the veteran of the organization. And I feel like he's not living up to that role. And I think that's where Trackhouse is missing. They don't have that. They don't have the guy to take the reins. I know the last couple of years it's been between Suarez and Chastain because, they practically started Trackhouse roughly at the same time. More so Suarez and Chastain. I think Suarez started a year before Chastain, but I just think that they're missing their leader, their veteran, and that's Chastain. And I don't know if he's just not if he's feeling that pressure and that pressure's just getting to him, and that's why he's not performing. I don't know what it is, but I just think SVG going to improve with time, with his oval experience. We know what he's going to do on road courses, so I'm not gonna harp on SVG so much. I'm not gonna harp on Zilich so much. I think this is more of a Chastain not being the leader and the role model he should be for this team. And if you don't have that leader or role model, then the organization doesn't succeed as well.
That's interesting that you said leader and role model, because I don't find Ross Chastain as a leader or a role model. And I think that that Ross is a little bit too raw, as Kyle Busch had been early in his career. He wasn't a leader. He wasn't a role model. He was Kyle Busch. So I think that may be part of the problem over at Trackhouse. All of your eggs are in one basket with one, semi-veteran racer who's, not really that far out the chicken coop himself. So, he's still a young driver, and not all that put together, right? He's done some wild and amazing things already in his short career. Adding that on to SVG and the career leap that he has, and the pressure of making sure that Connor Zilich come out the box hot. Like we've seen Corey Heim, join a cup race and finish in the top 10. Connor Zilich has raced 6 races on the season, and I don't think he's got a top 20 with a competitive team, with a team that's supposed to be a top tier race team. I think that's just trouble on the wall. We heard that Trackhouse wasn't just involved in cup racing; they have other adventures as well, kind of similar to Rick Ware. He's scattered all over the place. Justin Marks has left the leadership role of being the boss man and went and raced some races on his own. And I just think that all around, this was a very young organization and it needed to be tight knit. And somewhere or another, things have kind of come undone. And be it that Pitbull kind of left all of a sudden, Daniel Suarez, now kind of the bad publicity with Suarez and Chastain. Somewhere or another, Trackhouse has slipped, and I'm not sure what it's going to take to get them moving in the right direction. I'll make a hot take. This could be, Chevrolet's way of running Connor Zilich out of Trackhouse and into Mr. Hendrick's arms, similar that we've seen with Kyle Larson. You're never going to be the Chevrolet driver if you're not at Hendrick. And I think that's something that RCR has suffered with. If I was RCR, I would have went to Dodge or Ford in a heartbeat. But he still believes somewhere deep inside that Chevy cares about what Dale Earnhardt did 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And I just don't think that that Chevrolet looks at Richard Childress like that anymore. It's kind of like that that marriage that just went dry, right? It's just one of those situations where there's not compatibility between those two. They worked well together in the 80s, and Hendrick was not who Hendrick is now. And we saw that kind of pendulum swing in the early 90s with the resurrection of Jeff Gordon. And RCR's kind of been left out in the cold ever since. Now, no doubt, we saw Kevin Harvick string together some wins. Jeff Burton, he got some wins. Ryan Newman chased a championship one time. But all in all, if you're not at Hendrick and you're not the Hendrick organization, I believe you may have issues, being a Chevy manufacturing team. Spire, they're kind of following the same route that Stuart Haas did there in the beginning. They're kind of a satellite team of Hendrick Motorsports. So of course, there's better production over at Spire right now. They're literally feeding off of the exact books that Hendrick has, and that's another thing that I've heard. These drivers have stated publicly that they've tried to type in certain setups at certain racetracks on the sim, like Kyle Larson's setup or William Byron's setup, and the car won't drive. It's not that they can't drive their kind of race car. They believe that there's not real true data being shared from those teams and that they're putting in something fake. Now that's That's mind blowing. And that could be what's very well going on with Trackhouse right now. They're not getting the specific data needed to be competitive as a Chevrolet Marksman's team. And I would like to hear Mr. CJ Sports what you think about that.
Mario was at the wrong side of the screen. Um, it's got to be tough to be a team where you're kind of expected to share information to help the entire team, but you don't want to share the information because you want to be the championship driver. So I can't imagine, and we kind of talked a little bit about that, and Denny Hamlin, and you talked about him spanking the kids' butts and everything last week. So it's got to be that. I don't know. It's got to be a tough situation. I know I wouldn't probably be a very good teammate. I hate to lose. I've seen people act different ways. Look at me. I'm in the same boat. I think we've talked about this on the show where in elementary school, whatever, lost on the very last play of Tech Bowl Super Bowl against my brother, and I put my foot through the wall. And that was back in middle school or elementary school. There's a good possibility that no, they're not sharing the information. I think you don't, where we talk about RFK and them being that complete team, we're obviously not seeing the same thing. And I wouldn't be surprised with that being said, the information not being shared. And so, it's kind of one of those things that either everybody's got to be on board or nobody be on board. And unfortunately, in this sport, if nobody's on board, then the team as a whole is just going to suffer. And we're seeing that versus a team that does share the information like RFK, that as a team is just killing it. So then, like I said, stuff's got to get figured out. It's got to get figured out quick.
Yes.
I don't think I have anything to really comment much further.
With Trackhouse?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it. I mean, how I see Trackhouse is that it's growing pains with Zilich. Chastain is not leading up to that veteran number one guy that I think he should be in SVG. He's trying to improve, but I don't. But that's the side of it I see it from, how Trackhouse is not getting anywhere. I think they're taking a setback, and like I said, growing pains with Zilich. SVG improving in areas that he sucked terribly in last year, and I think time will tell if he's going to really truly improve. So far, he's improved a lot better than he did last year, and in Chastain, I don't know what it is with him, but I feel like that veteran spot is missing that he should be showing out to be.
Yeah. Is there a quick fix, or is this just to kind of hang on Lucy and see where this thing goes?
I think with Zilich is give him time, because I think once he gets comfortable with everything, he's gonna go off on a tear. We've seen it with the O'Reilly in the ARCA series. SVG, like I said, we know how he is with road courses. Now it's just a matter of improving on the oval, which so far he has done this year for the most part. Now it's just a matter of, can he keep that going for a whole year?
Yeah, I think SVG up until the last couple of weeks has really kind of shocked us at how well he was running, and it kind of got pushed to the back that Trackhouse wasn't firing on all cylinders. But the last couple of weeks, we've seen that ugly head rise up even in the SVG camp, and now he seems a little bit more vulnerable than what he was. But I'm not going to give up on Trackhouse yet. I think that Justin Marks is a smart guy, and he'll move that team in the right direction. Who knows? You never know. They might announce that they're going to Dodge next year. That's something we're gonna wait and see how that happens, because if you're Dodge, you've got to get a premier team, and there's got to be a couple of teams that would be willing to make that jump. If you're Spire, I think you're comfortable where you're at. If you're Legacy, if you're Trackhouse, obviously RCR seems to be fine with being third tier But if you're one of these other teams, I think that you're definitely looking at maybe going over to Dodge if they decide to come into the Cup Series in 2027. Let's go to our next topic.
Oh, Chris,
Yeah, go ahead.
Mama Bear had commented talking about she highly doubts the top tier teams share all the information, not only across all cars, but especially with Alliance teams.
Yeah. I'm having to do this a little bit different here tonight, so I don't have my my computer set up like I normally do. But sorry about that, Miss Lee. I didn't mean to not see that there. Yeah, I mean that's probably a duh moment for all of us. Like if you're the top tier team, you're gonna kind of try to feed misinformation so that you can keep them from catching up to you. But that's
Well, hopefully he comes back and tells us that's what.
Oh,
You know why wait for him to come?
Insane tonight.
While we're waiting for him to come back, a few shows back, I think the second or third show, we talked about the whole Cletus thing and talk about how it was going to grow popularity. And Chris talked about his kids have already known about this and everything else. I was at a store yesterday helping out another manager, and her son works for a third-party company that comes in and they do different things. And I guarantee he stood there for 30 minutes showing me videos. Like he randomly brought up Cletus and it was a whole conversation, and he kept showing me different cars that they have done and different things. Like it was a whole 30-minute listen to this car and check out this car and a whole thing. So he got talking about the whole was it Freedom Factory and all that stuff. So obviously what Cletus is doing and what potentially, back to our point in earlier episode, what he could potentially bring to NASCAR in the eyes. Obviously there is this whole following when it comes to Cletus. So hopefully he does what he needs to do on the track, and RCR finds a way to put, some good equipment underneath him. So he has an opportunity to help bring more eyes to NASCAR, so that we don't have another week where we got to talk about ratings are down for whatever reason, that we continue to see the sport trend back in an upward direction, especially with the viewers and even the attendance.
Somebody's got the sirens rolling in the background. Holy Christmas.
I live on a main road, unfortunately, in the middle of town. That's quite frequent that happens. And it's actually warm. It's crazy. We went from 2 weekends ago, it was like 80 degrees to it was like 10 degrees. Then last weekend, it got back up to 80 degrees till we dropped down to, I think the other day was 20 degrees. Now we're creeped back up to 70, but now it's supposed to dive back down to the 40s tomorrow. So we got another week or two of this crazy weather here in Ohio.
I think I'm back. Sorry about that. Definitely, we'll have to take note of the mistakes that I've made here tonight with my bright idea to use my kid's phone to do the show on. We'll have to reevaluate that, because we know how much kids love to be on the phone, and it seems like every time they've told me the code 3 different times, and I still just forget it because I'm in panic that that it closes out on me. Anyway, technical difficulties. So I think that's enough about Trackhouse. Those are great points. Charters, what are they worth? Who wants one? And is there any for sale? I would like to start this one off myself. Charters are probably worth every bit of $100 million a charter. Who wants one? That's the question. That's the $100 million question. Is there any for sale? I don't see them. I don't know where you would buy one from. So that could make them worth even more. Obviously, the big question that's looming right now is where will RFK find their third charter, being that Legacy will adopt the charter from Priest next year, which was actually a Rick Ware Racing charter. Will Rick Ware Racing demise as we know it and go into RFK maybe as a partial owner? I'm not sure, because that would unseat Cody Ware. But unless I think I named a couple of teams last night that could very well make a move. I think Wood Brothers could be one. I think that it's highly unlikely, but I think that Front Row could definitely maybe try to drop a charter, cash in on the $150 million deal, or possibly the Haas factory race team. They could possibly want to do something. Hayek Racing, I think, that maybe it was rumored earlier in the year that Ricky Stenhouse was possibly going to Spire Racing next year. Of course, I don't know where he would go and how he would fit there, but that was definitely rumors at the early part of the season. So the to get your hands on a charter is going to be pretty tough. The value of them, up until this point, it's been cheaper to buy a charter, but at what point in time does the charter become so expensive that it's actually cheaper just to field an open race car? That's where we're at now. Taz, I know you had some big, strong opinions on this subject last night.
Well, you haven't mentioned the points where I've gotten heavy on this part. The only charter I see on this whole thing is there's only one charter available out there, and it's just between this weird three-way deal of Legacy, RFK, and Rick Ware. I think Legacy's gonna get this, their charter back from Rick Ware, and now it's gonna be like a Rick Ware, RFK more of a deal. If I remember and understand this correctly, I think in the sense, the one way I kind of see it is RFK works out some sort of deal to hold on to that charter. I guess you could say maybe buy out Rick Ware at this point. If Rick Ware wants to run full time, they can do what Gaunt Brothers did a few years ago, and this is where and run as an open team for full time. I mean, it has been done before. Like I said, Gaunt Brothers did it with Daniel Suarez a number of years ago. And I mean, I think that's the only way I can see this. And it's not like, and unfortunately, I don't know, just Rick Ware in this charter thing, like, he's got to give something up. And as Miss Lee said, that Rick Ware is spread thin and given all types of racing he's involved in. I mean, at one point he was involved in drag racing,
IndyCar,
Pinty Series, IndyCar, now Cup Series. I mean, when's enough? And when is NASCAR going to step in to Rick Ware and say, look, no matter what you do with this whole charter thing, you're not performing to the standards we're giving everybody else with their charters if they want to hold on to them. And I think at one point RFK is going to have to sit there and say, look, we want this charter. We have a driver lined up in contract, ready to go, that is performing to our standards. We're going to have to buy you out, or do something with it. Because I don't know. The only way I could see Rick Ware, I just think it as, unless RFK and Rick Ware come up with a deal with this charter, like you mentioned, Chris, I see RFK trying to find a way to buy out Rick Ware. And Rick Ware, if they want to keep running full time, they're going to have to pull a Gaunt Brothers deal and run full time with Cody Ware. Or should I say Cody who?
Cody who?
Cody who?
Mr. CJ Sports. What are they worth? What is a charter worth?
A lot of freaking money. Like, good Lord. I feel, and I never thought I would say this. I have never, other than watching Brad Keselowski win at Talladega, I've never been that first race with an 07 car. I've never been a Keselowski fan, and to actually sit there and, like, I feel bad. Like, you got this, you everything has come into play except now that third charter. I think it might end up being a waiting game. It might be you had to figure out Ryan Priest run Xfinity Series races or something until someone either bellies up and has to sell, or somebody gets cut by NASCAR that you have to sell it. Like I don't know. If I'm Rick Ware, I hold on that thing as long as I can because the value of that's only going to continue to grow. And I those smaller funded teams, I think that's eventually what's going to get them. That's what's going to eventually have to get somebody to sell is they're bellying up and can't afford to put Joe Schmo out there. You were talking about the is there a possibility? I don't know the whole circumstance or situation. I'm not kept up with it, but could they not partner up and Ryan Priest be the Cup Series driver? And since Cody Ware doesn't really do good, just make him be an Xfinity Series driver, or O'Reilly. That way, he at least gets some car time. You're really not spending an arm and leg on him, and you still got 3 premier drivers in the Cup Series. Can that not be an option?
If I'm RFK, I'm making that an option. Like I'm saying, look, we'll fund this guy's career, and even put him in a 4th car every now and then for the big races and stuff, so that he can continue the Rick Ware banner. But at the same time, Rick Ware is now racing Chevrolets this year, so I think that's a double whammy. Like it's almost like Rick Ware is pushing back, saying, "No, you're not going to take control of my enterprise." So Rick Ware, he's going to control his destiny. As you said, the longer he hangs on to it, the more expensive the charter is going to be. It does shock me that Stuart Haas fell apart when they did. And now that organization could be worth every bit of around 400, 500, maybe even $1 billion. If they were to have been able to cash in on their 4 charters, you have to believe that the value market for Hendrick or JGR right now with 4 charters is somewhere around $1 billion. You would have to offer an astronomical amount of money to get one of those charters if they would even sell one. That's why I'm a little upset that in the lawsuit it wasn't petitioned for Hendrick and JGR to have to go down to 3 charters apiece. I think that was a missed opportunity there. And I've said that many times that I feel like there's a certain advantage that Hendrick and Gibbs has over the field because they never paid for a charter. They've never bought a charter, but they've been able to cash in on 4 charters, which right now a charter can be worth anything from $100 to $200 million. Now you're going to have big time players to come in and bring that kind of cash flow. We were excited when $25 million was invested into a Cup team for the yearly sponsorship. Just to get a team off the ground now can cost you $100 to $200 million a piece. That's just outrageous, crazy numbers. And I'm just not sure, if you sell right now. But if RFK can work out a deal with one of these set teams that I've talked about, and who knows, Hayek Racing, maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe Ricky Stenhouse somehow winds up back with the RFK or something. I'm not sure, but RFK's got their hands full, and I just don't feel like they have that much cash flow to be able to make something like that happen. I just wonder if they're going to be the odd team out and left with 3 drivers and two charters. That's going to be interesting to see how it plays out because, like I said, there has to come a point in time where it's cheaper to field a competitive 3rd car, non-chartered car, than it is to buy a charter, even though the charter's an evergreen charter and it will forever gain value. Coming up with that $100 million or more to buy that charter is an astronomical feat there. And it's it hasn't been done yet. Truly, who can? Not the lower tier teams, maybe not even the mid-tier teams can afford another charter. That's exactly right, Miss Lee. It's who can afford these charters? Obviously, Legacy is the big winner here because they got a charter before the Evergreen started, and we know that once those charters become Evergreen charters, which of course means that they're forever charters under certain circumstances, then that the value of them went sky high versus what they were. It reminds me of Ron Levine too, who literally went to court as the owner of BK Racing and petitioned the courts that if he was forced to sell his charter now, that his debtors were missing out on the opportunity to get paid their actual debt back because these charters were going to be worth a whole lot more down the road. So I'm sure that guy is still kicking himself in the butt for the financial decisions that he made that put BK Racing in the ground. But nobody 10 years ago could have ever imagined that a charter was going to be worth $10 million. Then it was going to be worth $50 million. Now it's worth $100 million, so to speak. So definitely the value of these charters are only going to go up. It's going to be interesting. It's a game of musical chairs. Somebody's going to get left without a date to the prom. And I think that that's all I got to say about that.
Way to make that colorful with that statement.
Oh yeah, thank you. Am I there? Oh my gosh. Am I back? Jeez Louise, man. So yeah, I think that's any other statements before we get to standout, shout outs, and shout downs?
I don't think so. I think I kind of.
Who wants one?
I think the only thing, I only have one. Actually, I only have one thing, and I know I know we can go on back and forth about this, but we kind of already covered that in the group for a bit. I think the only reason why Hendrick and Gibbs have that fourth charter versus everybody else is because they have the money. They bring in the big sponsors that pretty much kind of pay NASCAR, I guess you can say. And I mean, when you look at them versus every other owner in NASCAR, they're like the popular guys. They're I guess you could say they're kind of like the faces of NASCAR in a sense. I know you can argue Penske is a big name and such too, but Penske's more bigger in IndyCar than he is in NASCAR. So that's probably why he doesn't have the fourth charter. I mean, in a sense, he does with the Wood Brothers deal, but that's another thing right there. But I think they just bring in the big dollars, the big sponsors that, like I said, that also help pay NASCAR. I mean, I think Allied, that's over with Hendrick, has been NASCAR's official bank.
We're good.
That's a big one. I know Exalta's been in Exalta that gets Hendrick. They've been in with NASCAR for some time, and more so with Hendrick because of freaking Jeff Gordon before William Byron. And I think at one point Liberty was like the official NASCAR college or some shiznit because Byron came in and with Hendrick. I know Bass Pro has been a big one. I know Bass Pro kind of goes with RCR in a sense, but they've been with Gibbs for some time too. Monster Energy has been with Gibbs for a sense. For some time too. Shoot, Monster Energy at one point was a title sponsor of NASCAR. So I mean, I guess you could say Hendrick and Gibbs bring the money and bring the big sponsors that pay for the sport.
Yeah, I agree with that. Careful, don't bite the hand that feeds you, I think is what I'm trying to say. All right, let's get to standouts, shout outs, and shout downs. 3 names that stand out this week amongst the rest. We're going to, it's not really a discussion. We're just going to give our 3 names and whether or not we think it's a standout, shout out, or shout down. I've got my 3 ready. I'll start this. My shout down goes to Matt Weaver. Look, you don't want to pick a fight with these racetracks. I think that they have a hard enough time getting publicity and getting people in the stands. I know that the South Alabama race, the Rattler 100, is a good race, and it just seemed kind of out of pocket to start a battle with the track owner because you didn't like an AI image that somebody had created for the race decal or something like that. I just feel like, it puts us journalists, it puts us content creators in a bad position when somebody literally tries to battle a track for what they believe should be proper promotions and not. If you want to use AI, go for it. If not, then you pay somebody to do your graphics designs. I don't think that a journalist has any place at all to try to make his point proven or whatnot. Stick to what you're supposed to do, and that's highlight the drivers. And if it's a good race, report that it's a good race. If it's a bad race, report that it's a bad race. but don't sit there and nitpick with track owners over AI crap, because AI is everywhere and it's used in commercials. We seen the breakdown with Fox and their crappy AI generated burnout photos with the cars with wings on them and stuff like that. Look, everybody's using it. Whatever, you're getting your pennies in a wad. I know people are losing jobs and graphic designers are paying the ultimate price for that. But hey, that's the same thing that people with typewriters said about computers. So it's evolution. Natalie Decker, I'm going to give her a shout out. She's going dirt track racing. And she, of course, could have made stat of the day, but we won't mention why. But we know that a good set of knockers
Two,
cost
two,
about
two sets of tires, right?
about 2 sets of tires. So shout out to Natalie Decker for kind of giving us that kind of information. And Corey Heim, just a standout, right? Wow. What he did in the truck race, absolutely amazing. Taz Taylor.
Well, you took my
What's your-
standout. You took my standout. I had Corey Heim as a standout too.
That's good.
I want to do a shout out to RFK as a whole. I mean, they rightfully deserve it. They been winning? No, but have they've been organizationally as a whole very competitive. Like I said, to start the show, they're knocking on the door for the win. Yes, Priest won the Clash, but usually that doesn't really count as like a real win when we get into this part of the season. And I just feel like one of those three is bound to win at some point this year. I'm hoping it's within the next few weeks, but I can't see 2026, the 2026 season come to a close without one of those three come out with a win as strong as they have started this year. My shout down is NASCAR and Fox.
Oh, wow.
Why are we how is it NASCAR gets to broadcast races on FS1 and have ratings go down instead of going on the main Fox channel that IndyCar has managed to figure this out? Why is IndyCar running full time on the main Fox channel, but yet NASCAR, who probably has more money than IndyCar, maybe I'm wrong on that part, but why is NASCAR not able to run on the main Fox? Why are they on the back burner of Fox? Let's put it that way.
Right. All right. Well,
maybe ratings wouldn't go down.
I agree with that. Mr. CJ Sports, your standout, shout out, and shout down.
Standouts got to be Tyler Reddick. 4 wins, an 8th place, a 13th place. You did it this weekend without even having your cooling stuff because you had to shut everything off with the battery. South Carolina, very warm weekend on the East Coast. All that said, and here you are, 4 out of 6 wins. Like they're like I said earlier, when Taz said he was the best on the team, or however he worded it, the man in the organization, whatever, he is the best or the man of NASCAR period right now. He's just doing on every level. My shout out and my stand down are also both going to be Fox and NASCAR, Fox and NASCAR. And that is, my shout out is the all drivers crew that we got to have for the Xfinity Series race. Much better than having to listen to Jamie Little. And then my stand down at the same time is having to listen to DW the next day.
That's sad.
He served his purpose when he was there. It was entertaining, but let's not beat a dead horse. Let's be honest. There's not that many DW fans out there that want to hear him in the booth. Let's move on to I'm sorry. I'm past all that. Let's figure out this whole, and I think they're getting better, but let's figure out this whole Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick mixture. If we're going to continue with this, like I said, I think it's gotten better, but it's still hit and miss. So let's focus on that. Let's not quit throwing wrenches in there, and let's let these guys get it figured out so we can continue to listen to them versus muting our TVs, listen to other booths and other broadcasts while we're watching the Fox edition of it.
So in other words, you're just glad he's retired. That's wow. All right. Well, that'll do it for Standout Shoutouts Shoutdowns. Can't wait to see who gets their name in the news this upcoming week. And this is a non-rebuttal. This is, look, I mean, you can make a quick shot or something if you want to, but this is where you have the opportunity to have the floor and make your decisions on who you think these guys are that stand out amongst the rest. Weekly poll question up next. How about this? Weekly poll question, and this is already posted on our website. Are Trackhouse and RCR on equal ground with Spire and Hendrick? Can't wait to see how that winds up. It has been posted over on Race Chat Live. We don't have an update right now. And we got to speed up through this thing. Of course, we want you to be involved with the show, to be a sponsor. You need to contact Fan for Racing. You can contact 110 Nation, or you can contact us here at Race Chat Live. We'll get you a hold of the right people so that we can start giving you an opportunity to be highlighted in the show. Let's go to the long run. It's a preview of upcoming week. And NASCAR, we've got about 2 minutes to get Taz where he needs to be. Martinsville is up next. Guys, just a quick question. Will the short track package lead to better racing?
All I got is we'll wait and see, because I'm not putting my hopes up high just for a disappointment.
Does Chevy find victory in the Cup Series this weekend?
Is Tyler Reddick not racing this weekend?
I think
I don't know. There's some strong drivers. There's a good chance.
There's a good chance, because I don't think Reddick is very good at Martinsville. So I'm pretty sure we could see a different winner, unless Blaney repeats. But that's besides the story.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Be 7 races in, only have 2 winners.
I think we said one of the favorites coming into this race in our previous stat of the day being Ryan Blaney. Who's the favorites coming into this weekend? Taz, I know this is kind of your expertise.
I'm looking at, without looking at anything, I'm kind of leaning on, I think Hamlin's a good one to look at. Hendrick as a whole, I think you can look at minus the 48 car. I think I look at more so Byron. Larson has a good argument. Chase has a good argument. I've mentioned Hamlin. I would like to see SVG thrive here because of his experience last year with running the Legends cars on the Charlotte Legends Oval. I feel like this may feel in his warehouse. Christopher Bell's one I'm also looking at too. Blaney I'm looking at as well. Just like I said, this is without really looking.
And if you don't throw that damn RFK team in that damn conversation with Priest's short track experience, you better throw that whole organization in there.
I do want to add to this.
I'm looking at too.
I do want to add to this real quick. There is a system coming in on Friday that's going to drop the temperatures down to 38 degrees at night, 56 during the day for Saturday, and 34 degrees on Sunday night, up to 63 on race day. We've seen the tires make a difference when the cold weather is. So this could lead into a tire issue race as well. I just want to put that as a question mark. I was one of the ones that say that Tyler Reddick could possibly follow Jordan and win 3 in a row, take 2 off, and then win 3 more in a row. Let's just say he's already a third of the way done to do this. So it may take a miracle for him to get the Tyler Reddick, Tyler Reddick to victory lane at Martinsville, but I'm going to keep my eye on it for sure. Now I guess we're going to go up into Taz's weekly NASCAR team rankings. He has not shared with me this week his rankings, And he knows that that's irritating me because I believe RFK should be number one. I've been waiting a long time for RFK to be the number one on the board, but I still think somewhere or another Taz is going to disappoint me this week. And we're going to see 2311 at number one, no doubt. And RFK is still at number two.
Alrighty, let's start with the basement 5. We are looking, not really any movement here, really for the basement 5. We are looking at Rick Ware dropping down 1 to number 15. Haas Factory takes the number 14 spot. Wood Brothers stays at 13. Hayek stays at 12. Front Row stays at 1. Hayek and Wood Brothers have stayed at 12 and 13 for the last 2 or 3 weeks at this point. Front Row, second week in a row, staying in the basement 5. I don't really have any comments here for this one.
Yeah, it's kind of stagnant back there in the back. This is where that charter question can really come up, whether or not who's wanting to get rid of, who's ready to cash out. Like I said, front row could be that one team that says, "Hey, you know what? We made a lot. We got a lot out of the lawsuit. Let's drop a charter and see if we can't do something to make the organization better." Since Bob Jenkins runs a lot out of his back pocket, this could be a good move for him. But as for the rankings, I don't have any argument with any of that. I think everybody's right where they should be. We're kind of getting into mid-season form. I just really, I'm kind of cool with where we're at. It is unfortunate to see Wood Brothers there. That's for sure.
I agree. I think this is what your bottom 5 is going to look like the rest of the season. We might get a one-off where Josh Berry finds himself at Talladega or Daytona coming out victorious just because of a big one or something. But I don't see any of these teams really mounting to much the rest of the season. And to your point, Chris, and to what we talked about earlier, these are the teams you're looking at to either not perform good enough and lose a charter, or maybe let's get rid of one of our charters, or let's just call it, let's close shop. We made $100 million or $200 million. Let's not piss all that money away, and let's all ride off into the sunset and be happy, and maybe go do local stuff or something just to pass the time away. So I absolutely agree with what you got here in the basement 5.
All right, we move on to the climbing 5. Sharon, just going to make you a note ahead of time. Do not get into the top 5 when we finish the climbing 5, because we need to get to the top 5 to kind of help the anticipation for Chris. So with that being said, we get to our climbing 5. Legacy Motor Club stays at number 10. RCR and Colleague drop down a spot each as Trackhouse moves up 2 spots. I think Chastain may improved a bit, but I think RCR's downfall, a little bit of downfall of Colleague this week, kind of probably propelled Trackhouse a bit. And then Spire stays at number 6. I think that's pretty much all I've got for comment-wise. Spire didn't really improve much in comparison to the top 5, but Legacy didn't really do anything either. Although Eric Jones top 10 for a day Darlington race that he normally sucks at.
Well, and I was about to say, Legacy could have really jumped a couple of teams here had Eric Jones cashed in on maybe a win at Darlington. It would have been cool to see that. John Hunter, I mean, we can't really say anything negative about the guy. He just hasn't had the greatest runs. But Colleague Racing, they're kind of where they are. Trackhouse, hanging in there at 7. Spire. It's getting hard to argue any of this. Though I do want to say that Richard Childress Racing, you are who we thought you were.
Yeah, other than Spire, who with Corsifo coming up, or however you say his last name, Hocevar, coming up from the back of the field and putting a hell of a performance on himself. obviously their team's not top 5. They're your 7 through 10. I have no, I wish Spire could move up, but the top 5 are better than them. I know who's in the top 5 by a process of elimination. So there's no doubt that Spire is where they need to be. But I do feel they are the top of the climbing 5 in this section. And I agree with everything you got going on here. Those, I think 8, 9, and 10, I think we'll see Colleague, RCR, and Legacy kind of battle it out. And whether or not Trackhouse figures it out or not, whether or not there'll be a talk of battling to get back into the top 5, or they stay here with the other 3. I just don't see Legacy, RCR, or Colleague going up any higher. I think this is where they are as organizations, and I would be surprised if they move up anymore throughout the season.
All
On
right.
paper, Trackhouse should be better than Spire. On paper, but we'll have to see how that plays out.
Here we go. Our top 5. And don't switch it just yet. Don't switch it just yet. I'll let you know. Number 5, falling down 1 spot, is Hendrick Motorsports. At number 4, taking over that spot, is Team Penske. Staying at number 3 is Joe Gibbs. And now, Chris, want to do a drum roll? Once again. All right. Flip it to the top 5. Bingo, 23.
Oh my gosh! But I know Mr. CJ Sports is going to argue this one.
All right. So
Wow.
I know where Mr. CJ is going to say if you're winning, you should be number 1. And yes, 2311 is getting the wins, but they're only getting wins out of 1 driver, Bubba Wallace, the bridesmaid, and Riley Herbst is stinking up the show. He's leaving his 11 herbs and spices back at KFC restaurants, apparently. And not using it into his car to make him go faster. But RFK as a whole, I mean, not one driver sticks out more than the other. They're all equally competitive there. I mean, in the standings wise, yes, 2311 has 1st and 3rd. But Riley Herbst sitting in 27th. Again, what are you doing? Obvious at this point, we've all said it. He's keeping the seat warm for Heim time. RFK 7th, 9th, and 12th this week. They're right there. Not one is too much further out than the other, and that's been like that the whole season, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier,
and Busher could have gotten a lot better finish this week had he not gotten that incident.
And again, you hear those standings. You also heard earlier that there are 5 drivers who have finished on the lead lap all season long so far, and 3 out of 5 come out of the RFK camp. Obviously, something's clicking as an organization as a whole there versus whatever 2311's doing with Riley Herbst. I think he just sucks. I'll come on right and say it. He just sucks and needs to get out of the seat. Heim time is now.
I will mark forever March 25th as the day that RFK made it to the number 1 spot. I hope that they're able to maintain this position. We know the train's coming. The 3 teams that you expect to be 1, 2, 3 is sitting 3, 4, 5. There's some Cinderella stories going on up front, and RFK has found their day at number 1. I do want to know, Taz, are we publishing these weekly Taz's weekly rankings? Because if not, we're missing an opportunity here.
I know. Mr. CJ gets the clips of them on our YouTube channel.
Okay. I think that we should probably post these as well with the graphics and all. It's such an awesome little deal that you do here. I might want to make sure that people are really, because I mean, a lot of people will probably argue you that RFK is undeserving when 2311 wins 4 races out of 6.
I'll put it this way. I won't argue them. I just want to see their points because you know what? These are my rankings, and I stick to my guns, and I make my cases here on the show. It's called listen to the show if you want to hear the inputs of why I put teams where they are.
I like it, and you know I can't argue it. I've been waiting for this day. The very first power rankings, when RFK was somewhere sublet between 10 and 11. It was, can this team come from the cellar? And the first 6 months of RFK did not look like it was going to be very promising. Then we saw light at the end of the tunnel. Now we're seeing preparation, opportunity, and skill come into play all together. So, this guy, Kreslowski, he knows what he's doing. He's a team leader. He's buttoned up. He has the Penske way, and proven that you can be a small tier team with big time results. They are the best Ford team of the Ford camp right now. Of course, you only have 3 teams that are Ford camp, but they are at the top level, and now they're at the top level of all of them into Taz Weekly Power Rankings. Guys, it's been a great show here tonight. Glad that y'all have been a part of it. Hopefully, you share it around and do all kind of good stuff. Maybe next week.
Do I not get a comment on top 5? I know. Do I not get my input on this here?
Wow, Mr. CJ Sports, I have just canceled you out of the show.
Wow,
I'm gone. Bye, y'all.
You were really afraid of what my thoughts were on this 1-2 sequence this week. To comment first of all on the question earlier, clipping and posting this video. Usually this is the very first segment that I clip and put out there. It's kind of the easiest one to do because I know when it begins, it ends. So I don't have to sit there and try to make sure different things. So it's usually the easiest one to do. It's the longest. So all the rest of them after that, it gets a little bit easier doing the rest of them after this one because this is usually the longest segment. But it is the first segment that I usually publish after our shows. Hendrick being 4th, I'm good with. I tell you what, that 48 team is really hurting the team rankings, and I get it. It's got to do with health, and I think they said 2 more races after this week, so this is still going to be an ongoing issue, and who knows after that. Penske, more so Ryan Blaney has looked really good. I mean, there's been flashes of Gano here and there.
Hendrick had a top 5 performance.
Cendric, I don't know. There's been a few moments here, but he's really been the weakest link for Team Penske. Gibbs Racing, even Ty's been showing up since the races lately, so I like that. Now I can't believe, for the love of God, the fact that I said it twice that Taz heard, and because Chris's earphones or whatever wasn't working, he heard it once already. I can't believe you guys all had the audacity to assume that I would 100% disagree with this. I told you all that I feel, yes, that 21 or 2311 should be on top until somebody can prove that they can beat Tyler Reddick. And I know it's a team ranking, so therefore at the same time, I told you all that I have no problem with RFK if they end up being number 1, because as a whole team, they are the most complete team together. So I have no issue with them being the top team. And that's the 3rd time I've said this on the show. So the fact that y'all came at me, then try to cancel me out of the section, and this whole part of the episode, I can't believe this.
Don't point the finger fully at me. You point the finger at the guy down here.
That I will say the one thing that I did like about Blog Talk Radio was we had the ability to talk to each other without being heard on the screen. So like literally you could tell a producer, hey, this is coming up, we're coming up on time or something to that. It's just we don't have that ability. Yeah, which we are. We're coming up on time. As a matter of fact, Taz, if you want to go ahead and close us out.
All right, folks. Well, this has been Race Chat Live. We've had some colorful bloopers for tonight.
My
I
gosh.
can't wait to see the shorts for this one this week. So,
oh my gosh, you're going to have to cut out half the show. Jeez.
But anyways, this has been the Mr. CJ Sports of the 110 Nation. Caution Flag of Racing Radio. Chris Creighton, who keeps forgetting this guy over here. And I'm the Tasmanian Devil Flaggers. Taylor saying good night. We'll see you same bad time, same bad place next week.
Yeah, and sorry about the sponsor plugs. We weren't able to plug the sponsors. You want to say them real quick, Yeah, there we go.
The 110 Sports and Collectibles Company. Make sure you guys check them out at the 110 Sports and Collectibles Company.com. McMillan's Lawn Care and Landscaping Company. You guys can give them a holler in the Dayton, Ohio area, 937-999-9793. And then also Carolina Sports Plus. Make sure you guys check them out on Facebook. Mario, you can check them out at CarolinaSportsPlus.com as well. They got merchandise as well over there. He has been doing some March Madness coverage. Make sure you guys check out his videos. He also is an admin on our fan page and posts a lot of stuff over there. So give them some love as well.
All right, and Fan for Racing said that they can post it too. The Taz's power rankings. I think that that's very important that we get that put into text and share it out amongst the social media networks. Thank you again for being part of the show and listening in, guys. We only want this thing to grow bigger. Taz, thank you for closing us out. And unfortunately, we forgot to do the sponsor plug. But all in all, bye, everybody.